You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
You know, sometimes you do feel like you have sort of lost your brother. You always have to keep reminding yourself of, why did we start doing this in the first place? It's because we want to write songs together.
I'm Jim, this is Freshly Squeezed, and you're about to be introduced to 3 brilliant new acts with 3 brilliant new tracks. This is the podcast where you get to hear some of the best new music going, along with some words from the people behind those musical masterpieces. If you're new here and that sounds like a bit of you, hit that follow button wherever you're listening and you'll get a new show every single week. I often say this about this podcast, but this is about getting in on the ground floor, finding bands before they make it big. Well, a few months back we spoke to Radio Addicts and they are back on the podcast this week, not only with new music, but also with some big news about taking that next step to the next level.
Let's party like it's the 90s. Everyone's out for a day. So chaos, but I love it. Chaos.
I'm also going to catch up in a little bit with John from the alt-pop band Barbara.
Dancing, and everyone else is watching, 'cause nobody else is dancing. Except you.
Super catchy, super fun tunes. That's what Barbara are all about, and you'll learn that in a bit on Freshly Squeezed. Our third band are the purveyors of Aussie shoegaze. Not a genre I automatically associate with Down Under. They're called Fragile Animals. Fragile Animals is where we're going to start, whilst that little snippet is fresh in your head. We've got a new EP out, that is called Dead Stop, and Victoria from the band is on the pod. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we're talking about the new tune Dead Stop, which is the title track of the new EP. You've said as a band, this is the best song you've ever managed to write. 2 things there. One, I'm pretty sure that's what everyone says about their latest music. No one goes, oh, this song's not quite as good as the last one. But I'm interested, why do you feel that this song deserves that accolade?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think most people do tend to say that about whatever their latest work is, which is probably a good thing because it means that they think they're evolving or something. But yeah, I guess for us with this one, I think we're proud of like the chord progression and the melodies and stuff within it. And it feels very much like a song rather than just bits of music sort of put together. So we quite fancied ourselves as songwriters on that one. And then I guess, yeah, you know, lyrically it's something we feel really connected with. And I guess, yeah, it all sort of combines together to be a song that when we listen back to it, we don't cringe and we're actually quite proud of it. So that counts as, you know, a bit of a rarity. So we'll go with it.
When do you get to that point during the creative process? Like when do you kind of go, ooh, there's something a little bit special going on here?
I think it can come at different times depending on the song. I think like over the course of sort of writing then recording a song, we definitely tend to have like patches where we're really sold on it, and then other patches where you're full of self-doubt. But I guess the ideas that we end up sort of working through to completion tend to be the ones where there's been something in the beginning that's made you want to keep going, I guess.
So this new batch of music comes off the back of last year's EP, which I think was generally classed as your breakthrough EP. Does that put a certain amount of pressure on this release? When you've released music that's kind of allowed you to take that step up, do you feel like a pressure to repeat it or kind of move it forward again?
Kind of, not exactly. I mean, I think what it was that we really enjoyed what we were doing. Like, you know, being able to go and tour internationally isn't something that every band gets to go and do, and we felt really lucky to be going and doing that, and then very, very frightened that we wouldn't get the chance to do it again. So I think we immediately kind of wanted to write new music and to be able to give ourselves that opportunity to come back and tour again. I think that was the pressure that we felt, was like sort of within ourselves, like I guess not wanting to stop living that lifestyle and that dream, but not so much it's received good feedback industry wise or something like that. That didn't really sort of factor into it for us.
You say you wrote it kind of straight off the back of the European tour you did. I might be wrong here, but I think you started writing it actually during the tour, didn't you? Right at the end, I believe there's a connection between
Yeah.
where I am in Manchester and where you are in Australia, that it actually started life in this city.
Yeah, absolutely. We've fallen completely in love with Manchester. We've annoyed everyone over here by just going on and on about it, to be honest. Yeah, no, we had like 2 weeks at the end of the tour before we flew home, and we were literally in a hotel in Church Street in Manchester. And we were completely out of money by that point, so we'd literally spend all day like writing like in our little separate zones in like the hotel room, and then walk down to like the nearest Weatherspoons and afford like one pint. And we'd all sit there with our AirPods in, listening to like the bits and pieces of like each other's work that we'd like been chipping away at throughout the day, and then we'd go back after our one pint and keep working on it into the night. So yeah, Manchester's very, very special to us.
Do you think there's any of the city in the music? Because I can't necessarily hear the city's musical influence, but I look at the cover art, for example, for the new single and the black and white photography, which feels very Joy Division-y to me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, things kind of like we can see and hear bits and pieces, but it might not be obvious to anyone else. I think like the lead guitar in like the song Church Street, like we were feeling quite Oasis-y at the time. We saw Oasis when we were over there on that last tour, so that was kind of something that we were feeling a bit of that kind of mood. And just in general, I think like the mood of that city and how we were experiencing it definitely sort of found its way into like the melodies and the moods of the songs. So for us, it was, yeah, a huge part of it. But whether or not it shines through for other people, yeah, maybe a bit less.
You've talked elsewhere about the themes of this record and centering around dealing with grief, but you've also said at the same time you find it really hard to describe what this EP is about.
Yeah.
As an artist, is that actually quite a nice place to be? Because it's always good to leave some interpretation open for an audience, but almost you are in a position where you've got to interpret your own music in the aftermath of the creation.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever written anything lyrically where I was pretty confused about what I was feeling at the time myself. Like normally you have like a really strong feeling and you kind of know what it is and you're like wanting to, I guess, express that thing. And this time around it was like very, very strong feelings, but not exactly understanding where they sat and how they fit into anything. So it was kind of a bit of I think that level of confusion kind of comes through a little bit. And like I said, it's easy to sort of draw it back to the feelings, but a bit less sort of, this line means this thing and correlates to this real like tangible thing. It's more feeling based, I guess.
Do you think that comes from where you were when you wrote the album in a certain way? Because like you say, off the back of the European tour, I imagine when you're off the back of something like that, you're tired, you're emotional, and maybe it leads to something that's a little bit rawer.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I still don't fully understand it. And I think it's kind of a maddening thing and also kind of a beautiful thing. But like that tour, it was obviously like the first time we'd gotten to do anything like that. And, it was simultaneously the best thing I've ever done. And yet at the end of it, once it stopped, like it felt easy whilst I was doing it. And then once it stopped, I really felt so overwhelmed and a bit shocked at that. I think it took a lot of sacrifices to make it happen. We're an independent band, and so the financial risk going into it and not knowing any of the places where we were like sort of booking shows, and like we'd never worked with those booking agents, and it was all very, very new and felt kind of like the only way to approach it was to just dive straight in and be brave. But once it was finished, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, that was a lot. I think the nervous system took a bit of a hit. And so sort of wanting to straight away come back and do it again, but also realizing that it wasn't an easy thing to do. And it does take a toll, I guess, to take all those risks. It was a very strange place to be writing a record from and then a beautiful city to be writing it in. So it was very weird.
We're going to finish with a bit of a handbrake turn here, considering what we've just been talking about. We're going to finish by talking about crisps, or desert island crisps to be exact. This is an important question that we often ask people on the podcast, and I think it's more interesting when you have bands from other parts of the world to contribute into it. So the question is, you're stranded on a desert island, you have one type and flavour of crisp to sustain you until whenever it is you're rescued. What crisp are you going to go for?
Well, see, I feel this is really unfair because definitely my go-to crisp is salt and vinegar. But if I was stuck on a desert island,
you've got to think about your bandmates
my...
as well. That's the thing. It's got to be like you're all stuck together, so you've got a crowd-pleasing choice you've got to make. And I don't think salt and vinegar is the one there.
No, well, that's the thing. They would all probably say I've made a terrible choice because we're all going to be that much more dehydrated through my choices. But I don't know, it's an undeniable flavor. I feel like they'd all back me on that choice. We just have to, I don't know, find a way to convert that seawater into something drinkable.
In Australia, do you get a particular flavour of crisp that when you go elsewhere you miss? Like in Spain, fried egg crisps are a thing, and it's a crime you can't get them in the UK. But in Australia, are there any unusual flavours on offer?
Oh, we've got some, like, we've got heaps of ones that come out as like limited editions and they're all terrible. Like, there's gravy flavored ones and there's this and there's that. Like, I feel like it's like only the classics that tend to like stick around. But the thing that weirds me out is over here, like, you have like your color schemes that you associate with like your different flavored crisps. And over there, they're all backwards. Like, if I said to you, what color are salt and vinegar crisps? And it's weird even saying
Blue.
crisps because we call them chips. Yeah, see, no, over here they're pink.
What?
And so it was very, yeah. So when you go into a pub and you've had a couple of pints and you want some chips, it's really easy to get it wrong over there. But yeah, I'll remember that. Blue.
Blue. Wow, we're going to leave crisps there and get back to the more important side of this conversation, which is the EP. We're going to play the title track, Dead Stop, now on Freshly Squeezed with Victoria from Fragile Animals. Cheers for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dead Stop, title track from Fragile Animals, new EP of the same name. If you want to hear more, head to the podcast description. That's where you'll find all the links you need. We're going pop next on Freshly Squeezed, or shall that be? We're going next on Freshly Squeezed. We're going to speak to Barbara, not a person, but a band, and John is from said band. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Hello, mate. How you doing? Good to be here.
I want to start with the band name, which I know is a bit of a cliche place to start, but I want to know, how often do you get asked as a band who Barbara is? And has that made you regret your decision to go in that direction with the name?
We get asked that. Yeah, it's the sort of the first thing that people say. And a lot of the time people think that it is kind of named after... I mean, I literally did an interview very recently where someone said... obviously Barbara's the name of your mum, and I was like, no, it's not. So it's just we do get asked that an awful lot, but I guess I don't know. I presume all bands, whatever the name is, people say, why are you called that? I think it's quite good to have a strange band name that people question, because it's better to have that than a kind of quite boring everyday name. Do you know what I mean?
You mentioned your mum. Obviously, it's not just your mum. You're a pair of brothers in the band, amongst other members as well. You're a 5-piece in total, but the two of you are brothers. Your music is unashamedly pop. Does that come from growing up as brothers in the same place and kind of a shared musical education?
I think so, yeah. I think if one of us is playing the piano in your, we've got an upright piano, and if one of us is there when you're 12 years old and you're both hanging out and at the same age, it's very likely that the other person will wander in and sort of be like, what are you doing? What's that? Especially if you, like every kid does, listen to the radio and you're picking out pop tunes. If suddenly, you go home and you type in chords for whatever, Britney Spears is Toxic or whatever, you're going to hear someone playing it, you're going to hear your brother playing it, you're going to go in and be like, what? That's cool. How are you doing that? And whatever. So you sort of hang out in that musical sense. And you just become inspired by what they're listening to, and there's a real two-headed sort of style to everything we do. We kind of like all the same music each of us likes, same sort of movies, TV shows, culture. Really, it's definitely shared loves of stuff.
It's not always the coolest genre or considered the coolest genre of pop music, but I think it probably is one of the most fun genres. Yeah. Is that what's drawn you to that?
Definitely that's drawn us to what the music that we want to make. We're very purposefully, we lean into that kind of anti-cool aesthetic. That's purely because we are, as brothers, very, very uncool, if you can sort of, you know.
But that's what makes you cool, right?
Well, we're very nerdy. We're a nerdy band. I remember once Nick Hayward said to us, you know who you guys remind me of? The In-Betweeners. So that was that was quite nice, because it was like, oh, well, that's kind of what we want to be. We want to be an approachable sort of nerdy band that anyone wants to come and see. It's not like, it's not, the music industry can be quite bone-crushingly cool, and it's a little bit intimidating a space, especially when you're young and you're looking into it. And it's an intimidating beast. So we try and take the weight out of some of the industry and come at things with a sort of lightness and fun that hopefully our audience, whether they're massive music fans or they just like a couple of songs, or it's the whole family coming to a Barber gig, or it's, a university student, we want that sort of live space to be a bit of fun for all the family, as it were.
How does the brotherly thing work out in terms of the creative process? Does that make it easier, do you think, or does it make it harder? Like I say, it's 40% of the band rather than just the entire entity, but does that give you more weight? Does it lead to a more honest and open creative process because you are so connected?
Well, the songs are, so me and Henry, I would say, we write the songs, and then we are very fortunate that we know our band, and we've known them for a long time, and they're friends as well as amazing kind of colleagues in the band. You know what? As Barbara is, existing for longer and longer, it is, and as Barbara hopefully, I wouldn't say gets bigger, but, gets becomes something that we could hopefully one day do full time. It does become much more difficult, weirdly, because obviously when you're young and you have absolutely no awareness of any kind of the industry side of things, you literally write songs together and you don't overthink things, and there's no outside influences, there's nothing. It's just the pure beauty of hanging out with your bro, writing songs together, and it's a very, very nice thing. As soon as you get any kind of foothold as your music being a small business or whatever, or different people have a different opinions, and we're a very, DIY indie band, so I can only imagine what it's like to have a big label or loads of influences and people telling you what you should be doing, etc. But when you are in the industry for a longer time, it does make things more, it does strain the relationship, because I've said it to Henry multiple times, sometimes you do feel like you have sort of lost your brother. You're sort of working together, and then you always have to keep reminding yourself of, why did we start doing this in the first place? It's because we want to write songs together. So we're always conscious of, because you don't want to just be, dragging yourself to writing sessions with someone that, you've just had an argument with over some business managerial decision. So I'd say it is actually quite difficult, yeah.
Given that challenge, what made you decide to make this new tune, Isn't She Strange, even more of a family affair? Because your mum involved on the backing vocals in this one, I think.
Yeah. Well, we had so Ella Croucher sings on the harmonies, and Ella is Dean's partner, who Dean is our guitarist, and I think my mum probably got diva-ish sort of jealousy, and I think she wanted to, again, because it was all the vocals were recorded at our parents' house where we have the piano, we just thought, it's a very slapdash affair when we record here, because there's not really any kind of professional setup whatsoever. So we just got our mum to come in and sing backing vocals, and she can sort of hold a tune. So it sort of gave her a nice credit. Tony's song as well before, I think on The Contented Commuter, in one of the shouty sections, he's featured on the single artwork. So yeah, it's very much family affair, and they help out selling the merch, and they'll help with the booking of hotels and van hire and all that rubbish for the tours and stuff like that. So it's a very, very much a cosy family cottage industry. That's how we like to think of it.
You've described the new tune which is called Isn't She Strange, as a bit of a mission statement for the band. How is that the case?
So it's a really fun song that basically teaches people to totally embrace their kind of goofy side, and the kind of cliche of dance like no one's watching, basically just live an unfiltered, unashamed representation of yourself, basically, and don't compromise on your own personality to just suit the outside world or your parents or your, the wider society that you're in. It's just a friendly song about being yourself, really.
It's a really cool, interesting song, and there's loads going on in it when I listen to in terms of influences. So I wanted to set you guys a little bit of a challenge by inviting you into my Mind HMV.
Sure.
Sherlock Holmes is a mind palace. I have a Mind HMV. It's a mental record store where all the music I've ever heard is stored and categorised. If you could just step this way.
Yeah.
So, where your music lives in this place is completely up to you. You'll see before you gaping shelves, endless rows. Above those rows, there are signs that categorise the genres below. Where do you want this new tune to sit? It can slot into an existing genre, or if you can think of a new one, it can go there. It's completely up to you.
Ooh, I think, Isn't She Strange? I'm going to say, somebody once said this about Barbara's music, and I thought, that is brilliant. I'm going to call it theatrical fop pop, or just fop pop.
I like that.
Foppish pop.
Foppish pop, we've not had that category. That just sounds nice to say, doesn't it? It's
I
one of
know,
those
fop
words.
Pop. Yeah, it's really nice.
I like
Fop.
that.
Maybe that could be an album title, and the next album, Fop Pop.
Lock it in. The next bit is the difficult bit. That was the easy bit. The next bit we need to put it on a shelf. We don't do it alphabetically in the Mind HMV. We do it via influence. So each record has, on either side, it is flanked by another song or another record that influence it. So what is going either side of Isn't She Strange?
Oh, well, you know what? Usually I would say something like ELO or the Beatles or Wings or kind of any of that, or Supertramp. But with this song, it's slightly different. We really tried to get this song to sound like early 80s, late 70s Bowie. So that kind of Scary Monsters Bowie. So we actually, I have to say, Ashes to Ashes Bowie is the sort of weird discordant synth keyboards that he has all over that song. That's definitely a big influence on this track. That would be one of the songs it's nestled next to. And next on the other side, it would have to be, I was listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac, especially that Tango in the Night album, but I would say, because the harmonies, the outro is very Fleetwood Mac-y. I love Fleetwood Mac in the way that they just, the beautiful voices that all come together. Probably something like Welcome to the Room, Sarah, off Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night album. That is just a beautiful tune. So again, that was what we really wanted the sound of that outro to have. The swirling harmonies, that beautiful sort of slide guitar. Yeah, it's definitely Fleetwood Mac and Bowie. That's the two artists that are most inspired Isn't She Strange?
Nice. I can hear Bowie. I haven't got the Fleetwood Mac reference, but I think it's because I'm not massively familiar with the song, so it's a bit of homework for me. I'm going to go away and listen to that, but not before we played the new tune on Freshly Squeezed. Feel free to hang about in here and have a browse, but pleasure to have you on Freshly Squeezed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, mate.
You could be wrong, you could be right. Your worrying mind keeps you up all night. Is it better to be who you truly are if you're kinda strange and peculiar? And didn't mother always say that isn't the way people get by? So you should quit your quirky ways, learn how to behave, then you'll be fine. You have the same trick every time. Dancing and everyone else is watching, 'cause nobody else is dancing except you. Swaying, but none of the band are playing. The people around are saying things like, isn't she strange? So for a while it was a-okay. You cut your hair in a different way. And mother dear, she was oh so proud. It seemed to her you were grown out of being funny and freaky and wacky and kooky too. But underneath your mask, you're still a funny little thing. Oh, such a funny little thing. You'll always be a funny little thing. Dancing and everyone else is watching, 'cause nobody else is dancing except you. Swaying, but none of
Cool, that, isn't it? It's new from Barbara. I know it was compared to David Bowie in the little chat we had. But you know what? I can hear like a Beach Boysy kind of vibe going on in that. Really like it. Very cool band. Links in the bio if you want to hear more. So, next up on Freshly Squeezed, a band making a return, a young band, not only making a return, but making a few steps forward and a few waves in music at the moment. It's Radio Addicts, and Luke joins me. Welcome back, Luke.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for having me back. It's truly, it's an honour and a privilege to be back on your incredible show.
Ace to have you back. So it was in December we spoke last time, but it's been a fairly big 6 months between now and then. You are a band right at the start of your journey, and to set the scene for some who may have missed the first appearance, just to remind us for context, how old are the various members of the band?
So me and Daniel is my best friend and the lead guitarist, he's 15, and Johnny and Vin, who is the bassist and drummer, they are 13, and me, I'm also 15.
It's absolutely astounding considering the music that's being created as well, especially given the title of the new tune, which is Let's Party Like It's the 90s. You weren't even born in the noughties, let alone the 90s, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. I want to start with some of the big news that you've had over the last few weeks. I think the partnership with Big Condo Records is probably a good place. It's not a signing, you're not on their label, so what's the relationship there?
I think it's just that, obviously being in a band, is that me and Daniel and my dad, who sort of manages us, is that we just like to make friends. And we love to talk to people. And the other thing is that everybody has the same interest. We all love music. We all speak about music. So we sort of became friends. And I reached out for a show, which then led to our first night on the Stroll My Lifeway tour when that song came out. And ever since that first performance with him, our relationship has just grew and grew and grew. And so now, you know, like, because they're such amazing people, we now get opportunities to play in Liverpool now. And it's a new, different type of fan base. It's a new, different group of people who are still into indie music. And we get to make some new friends, some new fans, and we get to expand. And it just becomes the best job in the world.
Obviously, it's more than just making a connection. It's more than just making friends. These things are based on talents. So how does it feel to get that kind of backing at this stage?
To be completely honest, it's utterly mental. Like, literally, just to put you into context with my life, like, last week I was having some, like, end-of-year, like, mock-type exams. And then the weekend after that, I was filming a music video for 2 days and then back playing Liverpool. So having the support this early on in our careers, honestly, I'm just so grateful for it, as there's so many people our age who don't even get to play out of their hometown, which was us for a small bit. So the fact that we get to now leave our hometown on a weekly basis to play our own music in front of new people, it's the best feeling ever.
Does it become difficult to kind of focus on the everyday stuff, focus on things like your schoolwork, for example? Because I guess it's a little like being in a football academy. There's thousands of kids in football academies who might not necessarily make it, but they've kind of been shown the big shiny prize at the end of it. Does it feel like that sometimes for you, that you're going, I don't need to know maths, I'm going to be a rock star?
You know, when I was 13 years old and listening to Green Day, and if I'd played my first few pub gigs, that was definitely my attitude. I was like, oh yeah, the 2 times tables are overrated. I can play a G chord. But but especially now that, you know, like, we're growing up and stuff like that, and obviously some stuff isn't like the be all and end all, but obviously, like, you need to sort of balance it out. And I've sort of found like a way to do that, is that, like, schoolwork and especially homework and stuff, I try to do like my homework and mainly most of my work in school. So instead of me doing like an English essay before I walk on stage, I can just stay after school in the library, or during breaks and lunches, I'll just do my homework and most of my work there. And so then if I'm playing a gig and stuff, I'm not panicking, oh goodness, I've not done the homework and it's due in on Monday morning. So to balance it, I just do work at work and music at music.
The second thing to mention is probably the show at the Deaf Institute, which, depending where you're listening to this, might have happened, might be coming up. Now, Deaf Institute won't mean much to those outside of Manchester, but it's a 300 cap venue. It's kind of got an iconic status. It's one of those venues that everyone pretty much plays on the way up. That must feel like a significant step.
To be honest, it's the best feeling ever. There's only 40% of tickets left. like me and Daniel, we've been there for a bunch of gigs and we've seen a bunch of bands there. And I remember talking a few years back when we saw, I think, Revival were there. We were like, yeah, like just imagine playing here. Like just imagine being the headline band and people are here to listen to your music. And now, what, like 2 years later, over half the tickets are now gone. To be honest, it's the best thing ever. Like, I've got my bucket list on my phone, and playing the Deaf Institute is literally on my literal bucket list. So the fact that I've got that opportunity, it's the best feeling ever.
On the topic of playing live, you shared something on social media recently, which was the crowd singing the new single during a live performance. Here's a little clip of that. As someone who has never and will never experience that kind of thing unless someone stops me in the street and shouts cheers to your ears or something like that, describe to me what that's like. What's it like having a song you've written, the words you've written, shouted back at you at a gig?
I must be honest, I cried like an absolute baby afterwards. Like, honestly, honestly, like I can sit here and go, oh yeah, you know, I'm used to it, you know, like it's all right, you know, like it gets in the way. But honestly, I never get bored of it. And also, this is our new single, and that's never happened. That song, Let's Party Like It's the 90s, I wrote that in school during a history lesson when I got bored. And that song was about craving being with my mates, going out to gigs, singing the lyrics back to the bands or artists, and just seeing people who I've never met before in my life singing that song back to me and coming up to me afterwards going, oh yeah, mate, I love your music. And I'm like, hang on a minute, you're not my Auntie Tracy. Who are you? What do you mean that you like my music? Incredible, utterly incredible.
As we've said, the song is called Let's Party Like It's the 90s. It's inspired by those hedonistic days of the 90s, the whole, if you can remember it, you weren't there kind of thing going on. But also at the same time, as we've mentioned, you were not born in the 90s. So I want to see what you know about that era. I've got 3 facts about that period of time. I want you to tell me whether they're true or false. If you get 2 out of 3, I'll play the new tune.
Yeah, sure thing.
All right.
The thing is, I'm into like modern indie music, so fingers crossed.
Well, let's see how you get on. First fact. In 1993, Christmas #1 was secured by a character called Mr. Blobby, who was only able to communicate by saying his own name. He beat Take That to the top spot. Is that true? Is that false?
Me and my friends were joking today in school that Mr. Blobby has had a #1, but we haven't. That's true that Mr. Blobby has beaten Take That, Gary and Rob.
It is true. 1 from 1.
Let's
Well
go.
done, Luke. Right.
Who pays off?
Second fact. In 1996, Pepsi ran a promotion in which collecting tokens on their bottles could win you a Harrier military-grade jump jet. That true or false?
Yes, that is true. That is true. As I was watching YouTube shorts like last year, from people were like selling them on like the black market and stuff like that, like purposely buying them to win that jet. So yes, I definitely know that that's true.
Very good. You're good in the 90s. In fact, there's a documentary on Netflix about that. Someone actually did save up enough tokens and then Pepsi refused to give the jet. So you're right. There are 2 from 2. Very good. We'll do one more anyway. You've got the play, but we'll do one more. Heinz Ketchup decided in the 90s that red ketchup was too boring and they launched Easy Squirt Ketchup, which came in varieties of purple, green, pink and blue. Is that true or false?
Right, now I am a personal ketchup lover, so I think that's true. I thought I saw something at some point saying about like a green ketchup, I think, or something like that. So I think that's true.
All true,
Yes!
all correct. The 90s was wild, as you sum up
Let's
perfectly
go.
in the brand new song, Let's Party Like It's the 90s. Luke, it's really a pleasure to see you guys growing as a band and taking those step-ups up. So I'm sure we'll speak again in 6 months when you've taken the next step forward. But cheers for joining me on Freshly Squeezed.
Thank you. Stream Let's Party Like It's the 90s, and screw Mr. Blobby, I want a #1. Good night.
To stare at you from the back of the room, like my looks changed. I'll seem more strange as somebody will finally recognize me, but I'll let everybody watch
That is Radio Addicts, wrapping up Freshly Squeezed with their latest musical offering, Clearly. There is going to be more very soon from them, and just sounds like they're absolutely flying right now. Things we love to see. If you want to hear more from them, or from Barbara, or from Fragile Animals, then the place to go is the podcast description. You'll find all the links you need there. A gateway to new music discovery. In fact, that is a great way to think about this podcast. A gateway to new music. We'll hook you in with the new music, and then maybe you'll get addicted and you'll want something a little bit bigger. You'll go and see bands in like 3,000 cap venues, and before you know it, you're selling your body on the street to get a Glastonbury ticket. But that's just the way it goes. I'll leave it there. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Cheers to your ears.
The award-winning Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Selbeson. Sound design and production by Ant McGinley. Theme music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop.